I like to take my time and really exhaust ideas that I have on whatever scale that I'm working on, and then be able to move to the next stage. I have lots of ideas about what I want to do, and when I think about this painting, I think the ideas are infinite. The media kind of leads you, and you're just there, as a tool yourself. And in this sense, it becomes a meditative process. I remember there was someone who said, like, an artwork is not this thing that's hanging on the wall, but it's the interaction between the eye of whoever is perceiving it. That's where the art is happening. My name is Gor Soudan. I'm a visual artist, a multimedia artist. I work across several media. I went to Egerton University, where I studied philosophy and sociology and minored in English. Right after that, I moved to Nairobi and joined Kuona Trust Center for Visual Arts as an intern, and later on got a studio space, and I have been practicing art ever since. Wire sculpture work, which is one of my, I think, better known productions, was a reaction to a particular event in history. We were spending lots of time in the house because there was riots, and because of the elections, and people burning houses and tires and all that chaos. Then later, when I got a chance to kind of talk to people with a bit more experience in terms of art, and I remember it was Nicholas Logsdale who kind of pointed this out to me. He was like, have you thought about the form that the wires were taking, kind of these grids? The grid, it's a more universal language when you think about it. It's not limited to a particular time and place and event. It's a form that even naturally plants, this lattice that even looking at a bush, it's present there. In the honeycomb, it's there. In the lines on our skin, it's there. When you think about the form that cities take when you look at them from far, it forms that kind of grid-like or lattice of formation. For me, there's not really much of a difference between these two-dimensional works and the kind of sculpture that I have made before and that I'm developing now and that I'm thinking of making in the future. So all of it blends in. I like to work in isolation. I mostly work at night, where I can have long spells of uninterrupted making. So for this, the city is perfect. It's like I'm anonymous here. I can easily just lock myself up in the studio and work for days on end, whereas the village is a village, you've got family, you've got friends, and you've got curious people. The black and white ones were, if you think about it technically, just thinking about shadows and lines, and now that I'm bringing color into it, that background of working in black and white, I think helps me to get the form. Of course, there's that Japanese influence, having traveled to Tokyo, seeing not just ink drawings on washi, but also lots of illustrations in the train stations, on the streets. The attention that goes to simple things really resonated with me. To think from the littlest detail and then build up on that, so that the whole thing, from the smallest section to the whole thing is harmonious. And since 2018-19, I've been working on these miniature drawings and paintings. This was as a result of being a nomad. Before this, I had a studio-based practice in Nairobi, but then this nomadic kind of lifestyle that I live, traveling here and there, it just made more sense to make little works, just works that I can put in my suitcase. So it's not really a philosophy that I'm working small, it's more of a convenience. When you think about the symbols that we use, like across cultures, they're from nature, and then they become more abstracted. We don't just extract kind of natural resources, but we get our ideas from nature as well. Like we are really in nature and part of nature, as opposed to just being these beings that are taken from nature and that have a special kind of place. This series is about things growing. So in the same way we grow our ideas become plants, like our imagination grows from a seed and it grows, and this is the way expression works. I also realized, just from my observations of plants, that the very top of like a shoot or a plant, like before it turns green, it's usually this violet color. So for me, it's the color of like really where life is. And you'll notice that even like in herbs that we use, kind of like nutritious or medicinal plants that we use, like they tend to be purple. So it's a very potent, it symbolizes something very potent in nature for me. Unfortunately, the breakdown of this relationship between us and nature has got to a crisis level. But it's encouraging to see that now there's a movement towards kind of remembering this kind of relationship. So a lot of people are, in a contemporary way, reconnecting with nature. It doesn't mean that we have to break down what we have achieved or built. It's just to try and figure out a way of bringing back nature, or like mending this relationship with nature and integrating it with the way we live today. I've been going and coming back to Lamu, and the Lamu level of craftsmanship and the kind of work that they produce really resonated with me, and I started doing a research on the forms that they were using by rubbing, with charcoal, laying like washi on top of it and rubbing this and kind of just making marks all over to see what was revealed. And I think what you don't see is more important. This is the lesson that I got from Lamu, like what you don't see is more important than what is. But thinking of the grid not just as the grid, but in between the grid, what is there. And I think this is where kind of more natural forms occur. Studying philosophy kind of prepares you for a critical approach towards, gaining knowledge. Like, there's a lot of research that goes into making work, whether it's just thinking about color or thinking about the ideas behind art making. It really helps to be critical and to be somehow objective, like when it comes to art making. To be able to take in all this information and know this is what I need and maybe this I don't need, to be able to focus on whatever strand of ideas or knowledge that you want to pursue. Critical thinking is paramount.